of the 1998 Subaru Ironman Canada Triathlon. Ironman triathlons are a grueling feat of endurance. Athletes have up to 2 hours to complete a 2.4-mile swim. Then they're off on a cross-country 112-mile bike ride. And finally, in the full heat of the day, a 26.2-mile marathon. Amazingly, all these events have to be completed in less than 17 hours for a competitor to earn a finisher's medal. This extraordinary show of human triumph is exhilarating and inspiring. Iron Week takes over town as thousands of local volunteers and athletes prepare for the race. The Hog's Breath Cafe is the unofficial epicenter for pre-race activities, including the famous Hogman Splash and Dash. And this event brings out the fun in everybody. There's a parade, and costumes, nice coconuts. There's a leisurely swim and run, and this year, for the first time, an event for the kids. And when all is said and done, you earn your medal. New this year is the Ironman Village. It's right in downtown Gyro Park. This venue gives you a chance to meet the athletes and wish them well.
Picked 2 days ago, right off the farm.
Lots of food, jumping for joy, and shopping. Speaking of shopping, the Iron Expo is a must-see for all the latest in health, nutrition, and training merchandise. And you can go for a cyber spin if you wish.
Get up and dance!
And at night, a rollicking concert winds up the fun event and frees the indomitable Iron spirit. There's dancing for the Iron athletes and for the Iron kids as well. Food is high on the athletes' list of priorities, and pasta, as always, seems to be a popular choice. This year's carbo load, a pre-race tradition, fed more than 2,000 people at the Penticton Trade and Convention Center. The Athletes Parade is a family event, and visitors from around the world celebrate this exceptional human endeavor. And European rock superstar Joey Kelly doing his 9th Ironman in 12 months. And who is this?
Team Ogo Pogo's here.
Ah, from New Zealand. And lots of mommies and daddies.
Daddy here.
And a final pre-race tradition, the T-shirt swap at Athletes Village. And as always, supporters keep busy chalking up the streets with messages of encouragement for the loved ones in the race. It's race day. Let's meet up with Iron voice Steve King right now.
How about giving us your predictions as to who you think is going to do well in terms of the professionals this year?
Well, obviously, we have to look at the top three that are returning from last year. In terms of Noel Harrington, Mark Bates, who's in great shape, would obviously love to win, and we'd like to see him right up there again, top Canadians. But they have people like Stefan Hartig, who placed third, to watch out for. Christian Bustos of Chile, I certainly think is going to be a major factor. He should be on time. He's the fastest person in the field. We also have a couple of great Kiwis with us, Tony O'Hagan and Brendan Downey, and a couple of Aussies that could surprise, Bruce Thomas being one of those. I think one of the things that's going to come down to also is some dark horses, some people who are going to be doing the Ironman distance for the first time, and amongst them you could see someone like Stefan Jacobson be right up there. And remember, he was the BC champion at short course when he won those championships here in Penticton.
Who do you think has a good shot of winning Ironman Canada 98 on the female side of the ledger?
Well, I think Laurie Bowden is the one who could lose it or win it. There's no doubt she has everything it takes to be a champion, and a very worthy champion at that, with a great second place last year at Ironman Hawaii and an overall win here. But we do have to remember, Jan Wanklin, despite being 40 years of age, she was only 5 seconds back of second place last year. We've got people like Maddie Tamoan in the field, a great duathlete, but never gone the distance here at Ironman Canada before. But I think Fiona McKee of New Zealand could be right up there. And don't forget, we've got a local person in Barb Scatcherd, who I would hope for a top 10 placing.
Barb's hoping to go under 10 hours. I think she could do it.
And there's a couple of top Kiwis, as I said. Fiona McKee is one of them, but we've got Tara Lee Marshall, who's been training and racing here for quite a few weeks.
And the other factor that will come into play, last year we had the miserable, cold, windy conditions. Today we're looking at a possibility of highs in the mid-30s, which for our American friends, near 100 degrees Fahrenheit.
Absolutely, and a lot of these people are not used to the sort of heat we've experienced, but many of them have been coming here for months and coming on weekends, etc., to come and train in the heat and the hills. And there's a lot of people from certain states where they have no hills, but it's going to be a great race. This is the thing about the Ironman, you never know what's going to happen.
This is my 9th year here as a volunteer. My husband's doing his 5th race. This is great. We come all the way from Calgary for this. Wouldn't miss it.
And the athletes are now getting their body markings done, their race numbers putting on them, and they're number 822. That's Bruce Grant of White Rock, British Columbia. This is his 10th Ironman Canada race. He has a PR of 11:26. There's Jim Henderson, number 842, getting marked up. He's from Alberta. Last year, he did a time of 11 hours, 47 minutes. And there's Mark Roy. He's actually from our official timekeepers of Sports Stats. They're using the championship timing system. That's what the band is going around the athlete's ankle. He's got another good reason to be here today, because his brother Eric is racing in the pro division.
Steve, do you think the electronic tracking is the wave of the future for other events?
Well, I certainly do. We're very pleased that it's being used here today. It's been used in a lot of marathons, and Mark Roy has used it in many of the events in which he is the official timer. So we're very happy, and I think the athletes will actually like the sound that it makes when they run across the mats after the swim, after the bike, and at the finish line there. They've got a long day ahead of them, just giving each other a nice smile there coming from that lady. She is only minutes away now from the start. We have 22 from Australia.
They're happy, they're having fun right now, but let me tell you, a couple of minutes before the gun goes off, they are going to be concentrating.
They do. Indeed, there's Curtis Buck out of Woodinville. There's Dave Bullock, Vice President of Ironman Canada. The athletes making their way into Okanagan Lake, helping their friends who are first-timers. Just a reminder, there's 675 first-timers here. This is the 16th version of an Ironman distance race. However, we have 3 men who are going for the 15th consecutive year, Ed Russell, Ed Wong, and Dick Ensland. But we also have a couple of guys who are returning from the very first year, 1983, Terry Lewis and Chris Rosides. And there's a man who's brought his own personal flotation device to the start line. Just seconds away, Wally. And look at that, it's going to be a nice, clean start. In fact, the water temperature was so high that they almost didn't have to wear wetsuits today.
They say a lot like 1996 when the water temperature was 20 degrees.
Indeed. But however, 1,700 plus athletes just about to go off, and there they are. The 1998 Subaru Ironman Canada race now officially underway. And a reminder, we have 35 countries being represented here today. 43 of the US states are represented, 9 Canadian provinces, as well as the Northwest Territory.
And a lot of these swimmers will see themselves, Steve, the better ones will be at the front of the pack, the ones, say, in between, in the middle, and then fellas like myself, you have to wait for a bit at the back to make sure you don't get kicked as you're getting onto the swim course.
Yeah, we have to remember there's a cut-off time, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
And Steve, one lady who will come in well under 2:20, Jan Wanklin from Australia. She is usually one of the first ones to come out of the swim portion here at Subaru Ironman Canada.
The strategy that I've always stuck to is just going out there and having my own race. I try not to get pulled along by other people. You know, it's tough to put the three together in, you know, a great combination, and it doesn't happen a lot in your career, but I'm hoping that, you know, I've put in some really good solid training over the last 2 or 3 months and hope that it'll come together for me on Sunday.
But she will certainly have some other top swimmers to watch out for, not the least of which is our reigning record holder in the women's division, Corinne Litke out of Victoria, who set a time 2 years ago of 48 minutes 35 seconds. We also have a couple of women who are past Olympians in the field. Donna Cole is in there and Hella Versfeld, both out of Alberta, in fact. And now we've already had one man out of the swim. Just exiting there, I believe that gentleman just came through there. Retiring was Mark Hoffman. He did a 12-hour, 50-minute Ironman just a couple of years ago, so quite a surprise from the man from El Grande, California. But interesting to know what's happening up front already. We have another Nevadan. Now, last year, you may remember the O'Mara brothers, who were 1 and 3 with Brian Rhodes thrown in there. It looks like we have another gentleman from there, Chip Hobson, I believe, who's right at the front at this time. But he's still got a chasing pack. He hasn't made a breakaway.
It's just amazing watching these guys. I could learn a little bit about swimming just watching them.
Indeed. I think what's interesting here, the man who's gone out front, he's 31 years of age. I don't think we've seen him before. He's a physical therapist. I know I got an interesting note from his sister, Wendy, out of Salt Lake City, wishing him all the very best. That was on the Ironman website just late last night. So she'll be thrilled if she's tuning in today, because we're going to get a lot of hits on that website today to find out what's happening. But I believe his wife, Susie, may be here. And I know the announcer probably is letting them know who's leading at this time. It's great to have that sort of support from the people that are communicating with us, but there's a big bunch there. You see a second pack that is forming right up front. Amongst the pack, we have Brendan Downey is up there. We've got Chucky V, watch out for him. Stefan Jacobson, he's doing his very first one as a pro. But there it is, Chip Hobson. He is coming out ahead of the field. Quite an amazing swim from him. He has opened up an incredible distance on the second and third places, 46.09 as he goes through the chute. Amazing race. He broke well away. 31-year-old out of Reno, Nevada, the first man on to the 112-mile bike course. I doubt, though, if he can hold that for too long, but a great swim, 46 minutes and 9 seconds for Chip Hobson. There's a young man I mentioned, Mitchell Dean, a great swim from him as well right up there. That's very, very interesting to see. Second out of the water, 48.46 from the Sunshine Coast there in Queensland, Australia. Brendan Downey of New Zealand just behind him, 49 minutes even. So Brendan now heading out onto the bike course. He did his very first sub-9-hour Ironman right here in Penticton.
And the sun just rising over the East Hills, as you can see, and these riders are into that. And a whole bunch coming out of the water now, Steve. And this, the whole big pack will be coming out in the next, say, 15 to 20 minutes.
They are, and there's some great swimmers and triathletes amongst them. Coming out of the swim in 6th place overall, that is Corinne Litke, first female out of the water, 49.31 her time. Second consecutive win in the swim. There's Mark Bates, who was 2nd overall last year amongst the men. Remember, he's 15 seconds back of Corinne there. Corinne Litke and Chip Hobson, your overall winners. But the first pro, male and female, will be the winners of the $500 preem. So Mitchell Dean in the men's division, and in the women's division, 2nd out of the water, I believe, is going to be Jan Wankling. There's Jan Wankling, 2nd female swimmer, and that's good for 16th place overall. She comes out at 50.33, so 62 seconds back, coming out of the water in 17th place overall, but 15th place amongst the men. One of the pre-race favourites, Christian Bustos, out of Santiago, Chile. Don't forget, he's a man who placed 3rd overall in 1991 behind Michael McCormack and Scott Tinley.
And Jan Wankman right behind. Great swim for Jan. She's going to be really strong.
More swimmers coming out of the water now, Steve.
Yeah, no record set on the swim, but some very fast swims nonetheless. We didn't think anyone would beat Mike Shaver's overall time set in 95 of 43.54, but a lot of other pre-race favourites are coming out. We've already seen people like Shane Smith out of Australia through there. Brad Williams has gone through. John Koenig, who was out of Phoenix, Arizona, but there's a lot of bunches now in the women's division. Donna Cole, who I mentioned earlier from Edmonton, she came throughout the swim, 51.55. And look at that, number 1, last year's overall winner, the first Canadian in 10 years to win Ironman Canada. That's Noel Harrington from Guelph, Ontario. Had a 51.58 swim. That was good for 26th place. Well, that was Peter Priolo from Staten Island. There's Aaron King. He's coming back. This is his 6th time, I believe, at Ironman Canada. Has a personal best of 9:34. Hopefully he'll beat that today.
And you'll see more of the swimmers coming out of the swim portion now. They'll be laying down on the ground, the peelers, as they're affectionately known, the volunteers that help to strip the wetsuits off them in one fell swoop and get them into the transition area for the bike portion of it. But they're coming in hot and heavy now.
They are indeed. This is an exciting time for the volunteers, actually. Look how quickly they get the athletes in place, get those wetsuits off for them, help them through, save all sorts of valuable time. There's very, very few races in the world where this happens. You can see the delight of the athletes as they realize what's going on here. From first-time Ironman there from Michigan in the military, Joe Halachek. He's just gone through now. And there's Laurie Bowden, one of the pre-race favorites, last year's winner. A good swim from Laurie. She should be quite happy about that one.
And there she is on the bike now, and just an amazing athlete, this woman.
She is, a 59.44. That was good for 238th place overall, but let's look at the top 5 men and women, Wally.
All right, Chip Hobson came in with a 46.09, Mitchell Dean with a 48.46, and not too many seconds between the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place swimmers, as you can tell. Brendan Downey in 3rd, Doug Day in 4th, and Larry Shepard's in 5th place with a 49.30, all sub-50-minute times. And in the top 5 ladies, you can see Corinne Lidke at a 49.31, a sub-50 time. Jan Wanklund, one of the favorites, with a 50.33, and very few seconds between Donna Cole, Deborah Hurwitz, and Samantha Stevenson, all within just a few seconds of each other for 3rd, 4th, and 5th place.
Interesting to note who's going very strongly right now. He was 6th place coming out the swim with a great 49.35 second clocking. Hasn't been here, in fact, since 1991. That is Chucky V on the bike there from Boulder, Colorado. His actual name is Chucky Velopek, but everyone knows him as Chucky V.
And one of the more colorful triathletes in the world.
He certainly is, Wally. A few years ago, he was sporting a mohawk hairstyle, and that was used in, shall we say, a competitor sports drink ad nationally. We've got more athletes pouring out. I think that was racer number 340, and that's Margaret Hepworth from Boise, Idaho. First time doing this Ironman. Hopefully her husband and 4 kids here. All sorts of people have brought their families to be with them to cheer them on throughout Ironman Day.
That's a very good point. Now, a lot of people take this as a family holiday, and then either the mother or the father will do the specific event. Yes.
Indeed. There's Curtis Flock. We just saw him a moment ago, and there, I think that's Dr. Jean Hadley from Vail, Colorado, getting a wheel change courtesy of the bike barn. Interesting to note that she was here last year celebrating her 3rd anniversary, I believe, and was a DNF last year. Her husband Larry is probably wondering what's going on, but hopefully she'll get back on the road very, very quickly. She was literally didn't even get on the bike there and had some problems. But it's a long day ahead. It's a long day ahead for Chucky V. He's still going very, very strongly on the bike. Raced recently in a great race against Christian Bustos in a half Ironman, and he went sub 4 hours for that. He beat Christian Bustos, who there we see currently well placed as well. Bustos at that particular time just did over 4 hours, 4:01:08 against Chucky V's time, which was a 3:59:47. There's Shane Smith. He's out of Australia. Again, this event wide open right now. There's a lot of riding on the roads that these athletes will be going past, by the way. We will be seeing that, especially down Main Street. There you go. We've got people like Mike Murphy and his crew, the blacktop chalk artists that have been out here overnight. It's really an inspiration to these athletes as they go south on Main Street and literally throughout the course. Amazing job some of those artists have done for the athletes out there. We've got there Rafael Enaquaz. He's out of Mexico doing his first Ironman, 36 years of age. Gives him the thumbs up there as he goes through the first of the aid stations on the bike course. One of those men we just saw was Dave Hughes out of Lake Oswego. That man is doing his 11th Ironman Canada race, so we wish him all the very best.
But this is about 8 or 10 miles out of Penticton now, just before the town of Okanagan Falls, and there's a couple of fairly steep hills there.
Yeah, that's McLean Creek Road. You remember that was put in for the first time last year, so that riders and runners are not on the same course at the same time on East Side Road.
And this also doesn't get you that close to the traffic either, I can tell you that.
No, exactly. And you can see some of the athletes are loving the downhill section. Yeah. Right now in the early stages, you've got Sherry Trudeau there. She had a great race in the Great White North earlier this year. That's a half Ironman, got a 6th place in her age group there. She and Charlie Cooper hoping for big things today.
And now we're heading down towards the town of Oliver. This is on Highway 97 South. And they can certainly open it up there as they're getting closer to the big turn around towards the infamous Richter Pass, coming up at about 20 miles from here.
And look at this, the training partners now together going through Oliver. Christian Bustos looks over to his right. He sees Chucky V. They exchange a few words and Christian takes off. Christian, in fact, has won some major races in his time, including Ironman Germany. That's where he won the fastest all-time times with an 8-hour, 3-minute clocking. Noel Harrington now, cycling is his strongest discipline. He's pouring it on through the field. Remember, 26th place coming out the swim. He's already made up a lot of ground. Now, Jan Wanklin already finds herself in the #1 position in the women's race. Unfortunately, we've heard that Karine Lidke is out of the race in the early stages of the bike due to major cramping, so we're very, very sorry to hear that. Obviously, Jan may be happy at one level to hear that, but she's a great competitor, and I know she would have loved to be racing mano a mano with the women's leader coming off of the swim. So, disappointment on the one hand for Karine, but I'm sure Jan is happy to find herself at the front of the field. Remember, her best finish here was second to Paula Newby-Fraser in 1996.
And now the infamous Richter Pass, Steve. 11 kilometers of basically uphill mountain cycling.
And there we have Zurob. He's out of Santiago, Chile. He'll be pleased to know that Bustos is way up front. But look at this. Looks like a break here. Chucky V trying to get ahead on the climb. Can he do it? Obviously, he was able to do this in the latter stages of the run portion of the half Ironman that they did recently. But there's a long, long road ahead of them. There's a long climb ahead of them. And there's that 26.2 miles of running. Now, it looks like Chucky there is having some adjustments to either his shoes or his clips. But look at the pace they're going at, Wally, downhill.
It's amazing. And this is a long stretch on the backside of Richter that goes down about 3 or 4 miles. And they probably hit speeds of 80 kilometers an hour in those bicycles.
Indeed, Chucky is actually an ex-national cycling team member for the US. Noel Harrington, of course, who had the fastest split last year on the bike. He'll be hoping to do that again. He was the first into the transition area from the bike. There we have racer number 21. I think that's Shane Bessler out of Calgary just went through. Did a 9:41 clocking last year. Win already this year at a half Ironman distance in Echo Valley. That was Saskatchewan. Did a 4:07 there and a 4:08 in Stony Plain, Alberta. Brendan Downey. Again, Brendan is a great coach and a great athlete. He's been on New Zealand's national team, the Olympic distance before as well. But he wants to go once again with 9 hours.
We're getting to, Steve, that the winds are causing some bit of a problem. Apparently the winds and the heat could be a big factor in this race today.
And there's Mark. It's good to see him going well at this point. Remember, he's a 4-time national champion at the Olympic distance. Did his first Ironman here at Ironman Canada last year and came away with a second place to Noel Harrington. Great two Canadians. They were 1 and 2 last year. Can they repeat? There's Noel Harrington through, and the lady who won last year, Laurie Bowden, making her way through.
There again, she is also up in the Richter Pass area. The other two we saw just before them are heading into the little loop that they have to take near Coston, I believe it is, to come back to make the 112-mile distance.
And look at that. That is Tara Lee Marshall of New Zealand there. Had some major damage done to her arm recently in training, and she's wearing that cast. Hot day. Jacqueline Lewis, on the other hand, she has a lot to go for her. First year as a professional, she's out of Smith on Vancouver Island. She's got Jan Wanklin ahead of her at this time on the Richter climb. Jan Wanklin now 40 years of age, and here she is still at the top of her game. Local man Richard Diamond, he has a 9:19 to his credit. Jacqueline Lewis, it's nice to see that smile. Born and raised in South Africa, and here she is in Penticton. Laurie Bowden making her way through. Again, remember, she's a superb runner. And here, Jan Wanklin getting to the top of the Richter. She is in first place. It appears to be struggling a little bit, but who wouldn't be going up that? She's very familiar with it. Laurie Bowden making her way through the field. The 31-year-old who surprised a lot of people last year with that great second place at the Hawaiian Ironman World Champions to fellow Canadian Heather Feuer. Here's a whole group of men, and sitting at the back of that pack is Laurie Bowden. There is no drafting, though. You can see well clear of those men, but she is sitting on them. This is going to pull her through to a very fast time on the bike, we hope. Remember, she did that 59:44. It's unusual for her to go sub 1 hour on the swim, so she must be happy so far. And she is moving through the field, and it looks as though she's about to overtake Jan Wanklin. There's Kyler Page. He's a curator of the grist mill out there in Keramias. He's on a penny farthing, can't go more than about 10 miles an hour on that thing. Look what has happened on the out and back section in Keramias. He has overtaken Christian Bustos of Chile, and Chucky V of Boulder, Colorado, US of A, is now in. So Noel Harrington, the man who had 2 races last year, came away with a good race in Wildflower and then took it all apart on Ironman Canada.
And look at this, Steve, the shimmering of the... This is obviously a very, very hot afternoon.
And we understand it's already taking its toll on many of the riders. There have been a lot of dropouts. There's another one, Nigel Gray from Don Mills, Ontario. He was 7th overall last year. He is out of the race. And we've heard that 2 men have been taken down by some mountain sheep near Vaso. Extraordinary things happening here today. Others taking on lots of liquid. They need to do so throughout the day.
And this is Bert Sandy, a race referee with Tri.
You know, the first 30, 40K, we're trying to get all sorted out, make sure people know that we're going to have penalties seriously, and I think that's important for the race. You know, the athletes, you know, we don't want them drafting, and the athletes don't want the other athletes drafting either, so it's an important part of the race, and trying to do our best. There's a lot of traffic out on the road too, so that makes it a little bit harder to do.
And it makes it a little bit for the athletes as well. But one of the things we do have, although it may sound a bit like an oxymoron, we have real professional volunteers out there. Just look at the handovers of the bottles to the athletes. The athletes sure appreciate it, and it gives more excitement to the volunteers. 4,000 strong, the Ironman Canada Army of volunteers out there. Some great passovers. The athletes really appreciate it. Noel Harrington, we were able to have a World upcoming race just prior today.
It's been a bit of a struggle this year. Tired and weak, and a couple of my races haven't gone so well. But I took some time off, and I'm not back to where I was last year, but I'm a lot healthier than I've been, so I'm looking to have a fun day out there.
Well, a fun day it's not turning out to be for Herrick of Dallas, Texas. A 33-year-old doing his first Ironman is right into some problems there. He seems to be cramping up. For some of these athletes, I believe it could be a lack of sodium. They're certainly got Tara Lee Marshall going strongly there. Looks like she was overtaking Shane Smith. There's Jacqueline Lewis. She's having a good one coming through the field. She had a great race, in fact, in Victoria at their half Ironman distance this year. She was only 18 seconds shy of Laurie Bowden's overall women's record.
And Steve, the cyclist in Yellow Lake, which is about 25 miles away from the finish line, and this is another tough uphill.
It certainly is, and relieved to get over this, because from this point on they know they're heading home to that transition area. Again, lots of support up there. They need to keep motivated. Noel Harrington doesn't need any motivation. For the second consecutive year, he is coming down with about 400 or 500 meters left to go to that transition area. He finds himself once again in first position overall. Now, the factor for him is going to be finding out who's behind him and how far, how much of a gap has he opened up. He's really pointed on, but the winds and the humidity out there on the Richter Pass have made a big difference in bike times here. As Noel comes through, his split as he goes through into transition is going to be about 4 hours 56 minutes. He's out onto the run course very, very quickly in transition, but the man who's going to come into second place, Christian Bustos, he is a very quick transition artist. I'm sure he's going to make up time. You see Noel checking his watch, but about 20 seconds behind him, there's Christian Bustos. Bustos came in with a bike time, 4:58.21. That's about 1:40 back of Noel Harrington's bike split. But look at that, as they look up Main Street there, you can see not much of a gap. And again, Christian Bustos, he can run maybe 2:45 to 2:50 on a good day. Chucky V coming in strongly. Chucky V having a good bike ride there too. It looks like about a 5 hour and 8 minute bike ride, but a big surprise to a lot of people. Charlie Cooper of Marysville, that's Vancouver Island, a sub 5 hour clocking 4:58. The ex-hockey player, he's a 29-year-old school teacher. Can he hang on for the run?
As a matter of fact, the bike times must be 15 to 20 minutes behind what they usually would do in a race like this.
Oh, indeed, and they're nowhere near the record. Of course, that was set in '96 by Thomas Hillriegel of Germany, 4:27.42. The women's record, only one woman ever gone under 5 hours. That was 4:59.01. Julianne White. That was in 1992. That's not going to get broken.
No.
It looked like Garrett McFadden of Halifax, Nova Scotia, that just went out there a moment ago. And there's Laurie Bowden going to be first off the bike this year. And since her win last year, since her second in Hawaii and her major win at the World Long Course Triathlon Championships in Switzerland this year, there's been a lot of changes.
I guess everything's changed. I have a new fast bike and faster wheels. My bike works. Last year it was kind of broken a little bit while I was here. But my training, I guess, has just gradually been getting better, just as far as spending more time on my bike and things like that. So, you know, hopefully that means faster times. It doesn't always translate that way, but things have been going smoothly. So, well, I prefer 30 and 40 degree days to whatever it was last year, 20 or something in rain. I'd rather have sun. So as long as it's sunny and warm, then that's all right.
Well, she says she'd rather have sun, Wally. She's sure got that here today. Her bike split, the 14th fastest overall, 5:13.47, well up on second place, who we haven't seen yet coming into transition. And there's Laurie already going up Main Street. It looks like she's opened a major gap. Jacqueline Lewis coming in second place in the women's division. What a breakthrough swim-bike combination for her. She comes through at 5:34.25, her bike split there, and going out onto the run. She must be ecstatic. Let's hope she can hang on. These two raced head-to-head last year, I remember, in Kelowna, and they placed 1 and 4th respectively. And there is Jan Wanklin. Remember, she's had major wins, New Zealand, Australia and Germany at the Ironman distance.
And the heat, again, is going to be the big factor. We've talked about that in the last little bit here, Steve. You can just see that they're constantly pouring water over themselves, because we're talking mid-30s here.
Yeah, good to see that. Steve McMurdo, multi-time Ironman Canada finisher. He goes through wearing the maple leaf shirt there and shorts. He just had a major win at a half Ironman distance race in Vancouver, so we were happy about that. He also did a 4:10 earlier in Victoria, gaining top 10. But now a man who is well beyond the top 10. He's in that leading position, and he's a great runner too. Won Germany in 93. Remember, he had a major accident in 1994 in a race in Argentina where he was run over during the course of the race by a Jeep. Literally, the man was in terrible shape. They thought he'd never be able to race again. Here he is leading the pack. He's ahead of Noel Harrington. Noel would like to hang on for a second or third place. Remember, prize money goes 10 deep for the pros. The winner gets $12,000.
Got a long day ahead of me. Looking good, Pat. I'm trying to pace myself.
Now that's Mike Lord. He's out of Duncan, the 27-year-old. I think he's done 3 Ironman before. 11:08 is PR. He'll be able to be that. 2 local pros, Aidan Gidlow and Lee Heffron. They're both out of Penticton and Naramata.
Yeah. Just make sure you keep fueled. All right. And walk a lot.
Captain Mike Larnos, he's got a lot of support out there. It's from Orleans, Ontario. He did a 5.5-hour clocking in Peterborough at the half Ironman. But Jeff Krah, the man who got 5th in Collingwood at the half Iron, when he did a 4:06, he looks like he's out of it. Rick Hellard there, back to racing pro once again today, the man from Ottawa. But it's the man from Santiago, Chile, who's made the 13.1-mile turnaround point. He's heading for home, but he's still got a long way to go. A lot can happen. Chucky V now moved into second place. This is really exciting for him. Again, he has won the Vineman already this year, beating Christian Bustos. Can he pull through on the run? I doubt it. He did do an 8:50 clocking here when he placed 9th in 1991. He does have a PR in Hawaii of 11th place overall. That was about 4 years ago. Noel Harrington, of course, he did this last year and people thought, is he slowing down? But he was able to run it on through and claim that major victory last year when he did 8:37.39 an overall time. He's not looking quite as happy today, but I tell you, he hasn't had much racing this year, just like last year. He did get a 2nd in Peterborough at the half Ironman distance, 4:12. Hopefully he can hang on. One lady who seems like she's able to go through all sorts of pain and come through smiling and still racing well, Laurie Bowden. Look at her go. And in fact, she's sponsored by a local man there, Race Sports. Great to see that. Number 604 now pushing on through. Kevin Lane, he's well placed. He's one of the age groupers. He's in the top 15. Kevin has done 7 Ironman before. There's another local. Australia now lives in Penticton, Kevin Cutjar.
My best finish time's 9:13 here, and then in Australia this year I went 9:14. Statistically, over the last couple of years, that would place me in the top 10 overall if I could break 9 hours.
Well, he hopes to, as does Dave Dawson. Dave Dawson, 45 years of age, from Salmon Arm. He is going professional today. He's been a past overall winner of the World Endurance Duathlon. We certainly wish him well. He did do a 9:31 last year in placing 33rd overall. So as Bobo Anderson was taking on some liquids, so is our leader, Christian Bustos, going through a very colourful aid station. You'll see the T-shirt that lady has on there. It makes a smile on the faces of the athletes. Lots and lots of volunteers out here. Look at these great aid stations. But again, debilitating conditions today. Look how many athletes you can see walking. They're really struggling through this one. But some of the athletes are having a great time. Chucky V in 2nd place, looking very, very comfortable. And look at the man who's leading. He is looking so good. Christian Bustos, what a comeback for him. He was 2nd in Hawaii in 1992, 3rd in 91, 5th in 97 after that accident in 94. Now someone has given him a Chilean flag there. He'll grab that and hopefully run right through to that finish line. It's still going to be a sub top 9 hour clocking, possibly the only one we're going to see today. He did Wildflower at the half Ironman last year, got a 4th place, just in front of BC's Greg Timewell in 5th place. So what a comeback race. His 2nd time here in Canada. He was 3rd in 91 at 8:26.51. That was a bit of a short course that year. Today it's a certified course, and again the conditions mean that we shouldn't be too concerned about the times. It's all about finishing today and all about position.
And there you see Christian Bustos heading around the final turn to come into the finish line, and he'll be the first to break the tape this afternoon.
And he was the 2nd fastest on the bike. He's going to win it overall today. He's about to break that tape, collect $12,000. Ironman Canada champion, 98, 8:54.42 for Christian Bustos of Santiago, Chile.
Unbelievable attempt in this kind of weather conditions.
And it shows you how tough it was. A 3:05.33 clocking for the marathon distance. You would have thought, you've got to remember the record here. It was set last year, an amazing run for Colin Dignam, 2:38.07. I doubt if we're ever going to see that beaten, but it used to be 2:46 from Ray Browning. Let's hear from our champion.
Steve, as you said, I'm out here with the 1998 Subaru Ironman Canada champion, Chile's Christian Bustos. Christian, how are you feeling right now?
Tired. After 8 hours 54 minutes, it was very hard days, and it was very windy in the bike, and the run it was very hot. So the time it was not so good, but it was enough for one the race. So I am very, very happy. It was a long climb back again to some big races. So I'm so happy right now.
And so happy should this man be as well. They were 1 and 2 in reverse positions at the recent Viman Half Ironman. Today it's a return for Chucky V from 1991 when he was 9th place at 8:50. He's going to take 2nd place overall today. His time as he breaks the tape, 9 hours, 12 minutes, 16 seconds. He is one happy camper. He should be happy, and so should this man. He is an age grouper coming through from 11th overall last year at 9:02. Joachim Weinbrenner brought Germany, taking 3rd place overall, just 41 seconds back of Chucky V. A great performance, and he overtook Noel Harrington of Guelph, Ontario in doing so. Noel hung on though for 4th place overall, and he comes to the wire at 9:14.42. Another sterling performance and the top Canadian performance of the day. And he is in the money. Remember, he'll get 3rd place money as one of the pros. Great thing there for Joachim Weinbrenner to come through 3rd place overall in a major Ironman. And this man, Sunite Ide of Japan, coming through in 5th place, another age group at 9:15.07 his time. So he fits right up with Hideo Miyazuka and Tamura Yoshinori as great Japanese triathletes here in Penticton.
I'm feeling beat. Yeah, that was hard. It was one of the hottest days I've ever competed in. Having to run beside the lake the whole way with a tailwind behind you was just the most miserable thing you could have been through. All I wanted to do was jump in the lake the whole time. So it's an honor to finish 2nd to Christian. So he's my training partner back home, and I've been making leaps and getting closer to him in training and in some smaller races. And so I thought there might be a chance, but I had to pace myself. I couldn't just try to match his pace and then falter at the end. So I, held it together.
So you're happy?
I am very happy.
I feel awful.
Feel awful?
Yeah, that was the hardest race of my life. I think I better get to the medical tent pretty quickly. I'll be happy to talk to you later.
Look at this man, is he one happy camper? This is the 3rd age grouper in the top 6. Charlie Cooper from Marysville, BC. He's coming up with a 9:20 clocking. I am amazed this. I saw him do a 4:26 clocking in the Great White North earlier this year, a half Ironman, and he placed 15th there. What a breakthrough for this man. He had some accident a couple of years ago. Oh my goodness, look at this. We are looking at 7th place overall. The lady who got a 3rd place in Australia this year, won Power Man this year, won last year's Ironman Canada. She is going to record a time even faster than last year. Now out of Victoria, originally from Toronto, Laurie Bowden, back-to-back Ironman Canada championship wins. Look at the clock, 9:21.16. That is 7th place overall. The top female ever overall was Erin Baker, who was 10th. That was in 1990. An amazing run for Laurie Bowden. Let's hear from her. She's at the finish line with Kevin McKinnon.
Is she a happy camper or what? Does this lady know what she is
can keep up with her right now. I can't believe that you just ran a marathon here. You're bouncing around. A little excited, I take it.
It feels good to win. It takes away the pain.
Now, was it starting to cross your mind that you might win this race overall as you were mowing down the men's field here?
Well, I have to apologize. I was trying to catch that next guy in front of me, but couldn't get him.
I don't think you need to apologize for that. Coming back, repeating here, this has got to be the culmination of an amazing 12 months for you.
Yeah, it is, and this is the best race in the world, so to win is especially awesome here. And I have to thank all you guys out there. You are so awesome. Thanks so much. You really helped me through it. And also, I'd like to dedicate this victory to Don Lorimer.
Hey, thank you very much, Lori. Congratulations on an amazing race. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Lori Bowden.
That is absolutely stunning. The third fastest run time of all as well with a 3:07.46, and it's great that she dedicated it to Don, an athlete who passed away just last week when he was training for Ironman Canada. He was out of Kitchener, Ontario. There's a team actually out there. Jackie Hatherley, Graham Fraser and Augie Marmello are running on his behalf as we look at Kevin Cutjar from Penticton coming in for 7th place overall, 9:30.13. 4-time previous finisher of Ironman Canada, overall winner of Ultraman Hawaii and the first local finisher. Behind him, Stefan Hartig of Germany. He has placed 2nd and 3rd here in previous years, as well as a 9th place. This may be his final attempt at Ironman Canada. We thank him for coming back. 4 times he's finished, always in the top 10. So a great race from Stefan Hartig once again. Good to have him back with us. Lots of German athletes, lots of Japanese, lots and lots of Americans and Canadians. And we look at the 2nd American finisher in 9th place overall. That's Bobo Anderson from Sun Valley, Oregon, the 36-year-old finishing this race for the first time. He was a late registrant here, but he's in the money. And also coming down the finish chute from Vernon, just up the road from here, 10th place overall, another age grouper. This is his 8th Ironman Canada finish for Kevin Lane, has a PR of 9:27. His wife Dion and parents Caroline and Ed at the finish line as he comes in with a 10th place overall, his best finish ever in overall placing. A great job from Kevin Lane of the Okanagan. Vernon should be very proud of that, as we all are. And this, you remember with the young man I mentioned, 19 years of age from Queensland, one of the youngest in the field, Mitchell Dean, coming in for an absolutely stunning performance here. 11th place overall, 9:36.32 his time. People said it couldn't be done because of his age. He's proved them wrong today. And there, 45-year-old Dave Dawson proving a lot of people wrong. 9:38.23 his time for 12th place overall, and he is in the money. Sensible man, he went professional, and he's a happy camper today. He had a flat tire out there on the bike course. The bike barn came along, and now look at this. First year as a pro, and it's a 2nd place, a greatest position overall for Jacqueline Lewis, the winner this year of the Victoria Ironman. Got a 4th last year in Sado, Japan. Must be happy. Got a 4th in Kelowna last year to Laurie Bowden. 9th in Memphis in May to fellow Canadian Carol Montgomery. Today, 2nd overall, so Canadian women 1 and 2. Laurie Bowden and Jacqueline Lewis. And here comes our 3rd placer. It's Fiona McKee from Dunedin, New Zealand, a 35-year-old Kiwi who took a 7th place here in 93 and a 4th in 94. Today it is a 3rd place already this year. She's had a 2nd place at Ironman New Zealand with a time of 10:01. The time today, 10:03, beating out past Ironman New Zealand winner Jan Wanklin of Australia. Lives in Westchester, Pennsylvania with her husband Ken Glad. Don't forget, he won here in 93, but it's 4th place today at 10:15.09. Congratulations, Jan Wanklin. Twice she's been 3rd here and was 2nd here once before. And here's a top local female about to come through for 5th place overall, Bart Scatcherd from Penticton. Last year, 10:25, got 2nd in her age group, 5th in Victoria this year, and 5th overall in Penticton today.
Let's recap the top men finishers. First overall, Christian Bustos, the only one to go with a sub-9-hour clocking with an 8:54.42. Chucky V with a 9:12.16, and a few seconds behind him, Joaquin Weinbrenner with a 9:12.57. Noel Harrington with a 9:14.42, and rounding up the top 5, Sinita Ite. The women, the top 5 finishers, Laurie Bowden, 7th overall, 1st overall with a female, the only one to break the 10-hour mark, 9:21.16. Jackie Lewis with a 10:01.54. A couple of minutes behind her, Fiona McKee in 3rd place with a 10:03.03. Jan Wanklin with the 10:15.09, and Penticton's Barb Scatcherd in 5th place. Well, 11 hours into the race now, Steve. The majority of the pros have come and gone now, and a
couple of the local pros. It's they're just over 11 hours, but they had the guts to see it all through. We got a local man coming through for the 10th time, Brad Cochran, the first ever to achieve that as locals. Others so delighted to see their loved ones have made it. There's a lot of emotions in this. Where they're coming through, you can see the smiles on the faces, hit the red carpet, they collect their finishers' medals, get lots of support, thousands of people here at the finish line to welcome them, plus the official greeters.
He's doing 9 iron.
And you can see some are being taken away into the hot tubs. They've got muscles that are aching.
And that includes Noel Harrington. Now you see a smile on his face. Yes. There. Only hundreds of meters away from that finish line right now. Lots of support all the way down Main Street. Some people, they're not able to run, but they know if they can finish it off. And look at that big smile on her face as she pours it on through to the finish line. Great stuff.
Darkness has begun to fall, and there's probably several hundred. And we understand that the heat has taken its toll. There are many, a couple hundred now, that have already not finished because of the heat. Look at the look on that face. That's what it's all about. Yeah. There's somebody crossing the line to high-five the crowd. This is what the true spirit of Ironman is all
that
about.
looked like the G-Man to me, by the way. A lot of comments on the website. Look at that, Dr. Dick Ensland finishing for the 15th consecutive time. And we're pleased to say Ed Wong has already finished as well. He's out of Seattle, Dick's out of Edmonton. Ed Russell, the only one left out on the course. We saw Darren McWalters flying through to his usual sprint finish, and Mike Barrett from the famous Hog's Breath. He's now come through once again with just over 15 on the clock. And look at this, 2-time Ironman Canada winner Tom Price running alongside his wife Wendy and their son there. That is great to see. Others who are finishing for the first time. Look at the ecstasy. They make that final left-hand turn. A lot of comradeship throughout the race. You can see a Japanese entry there. Been running with that lady some while. Now, this is the story. Waiting at the finish line, we've got the first member of the Glasser family to arrive. Sisters Carrie and Trey usually stand and wait for their father, Jay.
It just wouldn't be the same going by myself. We came together, so we finished together.
And let's hope they can finish together under 17 hours, as we had a wedding at the finish line as well. Hiroyuki Matsushita finished the race and then married Nami Shioya. So we wish them all the very best as athletes poured on through while the ceremony was underway, Wally.
They're here for a ton of different reasons.
They certainly are, and the sisters now have joined up. There's less than an hour to go to that 17-hour cutoff time.
Years of age from Costa Mesa, California.
Athletes continue to pour in. They see the tape, they hear the music, the roar of the crowd, break the tape. What a great day it's been for them. Cowman Amuha. This is a man who's a great character in the sport. Multi-time Western States finisher, Ultraman finisher, multi-time Hawaiian Ironman finisher, Ironman Canada finisher, and look at the joy of that finish. Many athletes, though, have suffered throughout the day. We've had ambulances going up and down the course, bringing people into the medical area. They have never, ever been this busy. You talked about 15% of the field getting out of the race, dropping out for one reason or another. Sodium deficiency appears to be a big reason here. Lots of cramping up on the course. Let's hear from one of the medics.
Well, last year, of course, because of the weather, our call volume was the lowest it's ever been. But this year, we've anticipated, because of the weather, that our call volume is going to be very extreme, and we've hit it bang on.
Glenn, any idea of how many different trips that you've had to run so far, say from about 2 or 3 o'clock on?
We're well over 100 trips for the ambulance service at this point in the race.
How does that compare to previous years?
It's up there, but it's more than previous years.
What's been the general condition of the most of the athletes that you've had to attend to?
Dehydration, heat-related incidents.
Do they feel this coming on, or is it just something that happens? Are they not ready for it? What happens there?
A lot of them they're very aware of their condition. They've been training for a long period of time. They know what to expect, and they're sitting down and starting to try to rehydrate, but they're just not being able to stay on top of it, Wally.
This was just unbelievably hot, and it would have been so easy to drop, and it felt so good to finish this year. Of the 5 that I've done, this is without a doubt the hottest, windiest day out there. I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad to be here.
You know what? The aid stations were so great, so right when I started to get a little overheated, there was the sponges and the ice, and so I never even felt the heat.
You know, Diane, we have more than 4,000 volunteers that are here.
I know that. I was a volunteer last year, and my husband did the race last year, and he does them all around the world, and I never wanted to do triathlon, but when I came here last year, I said, I'm going to do it, because it was a gorgeous course. Volunteers were awesome, spectators were awesome, aid stations were awesome, everything was awesome here.
The heat doesn't bother me. I never felt hot the whole time. The only thing that bothered me was it was really windy on the bike, so that slowed times down a bit and probably took something out of everybody's legs, but I'd much rather have something a bit hot than cold, so it was good conditions for me.
You knocked a minute off your time from last year, and 2 consecutive Ironman Canadas in a row, and with a second place Hawaii. What is next?
I'm not sure. I think Hawaii is the next thing on my agenda, but right now it's just sitting back and savoring the moment.
10th Ironman, compare this to others.
Hardest one ever. Harder than 96. It was pretty well. It was probably hotter in 96, but the wind just really killed people out there. Everybody, I think with the increased intensity you got to go to overcome the wind, especially through Coston and that. You know, your stomach doesn't empty. Once you increase the intensity, the gastric emptying slows right down. Nothing's going out. You know, everybody was cramping up. I didn't see anybody out there in my vicinity not cramping.
This is the best race. These locals really put out for this race. I've been to Germany, I've been to Hawaii a ton of times. These people are marvelous. They love the race, and we love them.
When was the last time you saw the heat affect as many people as it did today?
I don't think I've ever seen it affect this many people. I've been to Hawaii, and there was something special out there today, and I think what it was the combination of the heat and the winds, because you have to look at some of the names that weren't able to finish, many of the favourites, many of the pros. In fact, it was so unusual that we saw so many age groupers right there hacking it out and racing mano a mano with the pros that it surprised everybody, and I'm not sure what to make of it. We're going to hear a lot of stories tomorrow at the awards and tomorrow throughout the day. These athletes are going to be talking about this race for a long time to come.
Well, Mark Bates told us that he just overdid it. He just did not account for the heat and the wind.
Well, who could have thought that it would get that rough for them out there? They had to put it on the line today because there's so much at stake. But you run out of gas like Mark did, and a lot of people did that. We saw them suffering. But Laurie Bowden, I mean, amazing performance. She was faster than last year, 7th overall. Extraordinary stuff.
We just talked to her, and she looks like she has just gone for a spring walk.
Oh, she does. I'm just simply amazed, and she really has to be one of the very best the world has ever produced at the Ironman distance. Back-to-back wins, all the pressure that you've got, but she decimated the rest of the field.
Yeah, it was just an amazing day, and a lot of DNFs. I think we're going to have probably 200 to 300.
I think we've already had 250 that I know of, so yeah, big dropout rate. You wonder what they're going to be saying about this in the media, but hey, that's what makes the race. You have to take what comes. If it was a shorter distance, people would know what they're able to do. That's why you come into the Ironman, because you never know what's going to happen.
Now look at the clock, 10 minutes left of official Ironman Canada time. 10 minutes, we can see all sorts of athletes up there. It looks like the Glassers are going to do it. Carrie, Trey and Jay Glasser are going to do it once again. This is the place they come every year to reunite as a family. The father and his 2 daughters are about to make it once again. Look at the happiness of the line as they all come on through, hand in hand with a sub 17-hour official time with 9.5 minutes to spare. There's 2 others about to come on through.
Amazing, just ahead of them, Steve, number 1700.
The clock is ticking down. 1 minute and 20 seconds left of official Ironman time.
This is going to be close. We got to make noise, folks.
They're not far away. Come on, guys. Push, 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 push. 50 seconds away from that finish line. Kevin, hold it a second. They're making the turn. They may well do it.
We can do this. Come on. You got to go. You got to go. You got to go. You got to go.
We have 35 seconds left. Push it hard to the line. Here come our final finishers. A whole group of athletes. Let's look at the official clock as it counts it down. 25 minutes on the clock.
He's gonna make it.
20 seconds left for the official finish. Push, 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 hard as you can. 15 seconds left. The whole group of athletes are going to make it. We have 10 seconds left as they count it on down. Canada, pushing right to the line. Two athletes have made it across the line just in time with seconds to spare. Oh my goodness, they have done it. Incredible job. One of them was Lisa Perry from Bellingham, Washington.
Some have conquered cancer or beaten heart disease, chronic lung conditions, or wobbly knees. The blind, the paralyzed, old and young of every size, except the Ironman challenge, stare it squarely in the eyes. Reach up 1800, there's a story to be told, of lives that have been changed for good by Ironman's magic hold. If someone has to ask you why you're doing Ironman, don't even try to answer, 'cause they'll never understand. I'm a man, I'm an Ironman. Ironman, I'm an Ironman. Must be done in the swim, the back, the run. I knew I'd never ever quit until the race was won.
So Chucky, you've been to Ironman Canada before.